Alright guys, we are back with the Patrol again. Last thing we need to do to get this thing running is give it a good service. So I've already drained the oil, we'll skip that bit because that's the easy part. We've got a Ryco Filter Kit here. So this contains our oil filter, air filter, cabin filter and fuel filter. So I picked this up for a little bit over $100, so that was a lot cheaper than I could get it anywhere else. They sort of look like they retail for like $160 or something, close to that. But we're gonna throw it in and show you guys how to do it. So this is what you get in the kit. Open it up. We've got our cabin filter there, oil filter here, fuel filter here, and then our main air filter here. Alright guys, so these are our 4 filters that came in the kit. My Patrol is a ST Patrol and it doesn't actually have a cabin filter, so this is kind of useless to me. If you had a higher trim level, you probably have a cabin filter where this might actually fit. I'm going to make another video and go through what you need to do to fit a cabin filter to a non-cabin filter Patrol. And it just involves cutting a slot into your box and then you slide your cabin filters in like you normally would on another Patrol. So we'll go through that in a different video. We're going to crack into installing our new filters. First thing you want to do is get the drain bolt out, get the oil draining so that you can leave it open while you do the rest of the service. We're going to start with the fuel filter because it's nice and easy at the top of the engine bay. So with the fuel filter, on the bottom side of your new filter you'll notice that it's threaded on the bottom and the top. The bottom has a little water separator that goes in there and a plug. You want to disconnect the plug before we go spinning the fuel filter because you can twist that plug and break it. So you want to reach down, disconnect the plastic plug, and then we can start removing the filter assembly. So you want to find the plug. It's just a 2-pin plug, so there's only 2 wires going in and out of it. And you want to find the little lever on it. There's a lever that you need to depress while you wiggle it and pull backwards. And then that'll basically disconnect the plug and you're right to go from there. So now that we've got the plug undone, we're going to undo the 2 bolts on top. They're 12mm. So I've taken this hose off here because it was too stiff. So in order to do this next part, you might need to do the same, or if your hose is still flexible, you might be able to get away with it. What we want to do is pick up the filter. There's a few ways you can do this. I feel like this way is a neat little trick. So we're going to set up our filter upside down and then bolt him back in place on top of our fuel filter mount. So I'm using a pair of water pipe pliers, just anything that's big enough to get around there, and very careful because it's plastic. Twist him off. So we're going to undo this now. We are leaking a little bit of diesel, so I'm plugging it with my finger, and we've got a rag soaking it up. That's our little water sensor out. Oh, we're moving. We're moving. So ideally, it would be best to do it while it's the right way up with a strap instead of the 3-pronged oil filter that I was using. So the straps you can slip on underneath once you unplug the plug and you slip it over the little the out pipe there that drains the water. So you slip it over both of them, slide it up, and then when you undo it, you can drop the fuel filter with your fuel hoses attached. So this was ridiculously over tightened, so we had to resort to flipping it upside down. So this is a trick that you guys can use if yours has also been over tightened, but the best method to do it is right way up, hose is still attached, that way you don't bleed fuel everywhere. But yeah, again, last resort, this is how you can do it. I'm going to dribble a little bit more fuel out because it's still upside down. So we will set up our new filter now. Comes with an O-ring in the bottom side and in the top side. what we want to do is grab our little water separator, take the old O-ring off and bin that. A little bit of fuel or oil to lubricate the O-ring there, and just run it around like that. O-ring over the thread, into the bottom of the fuel filter, tighten it up as tight as you can get it with your hands. Don't use any tools on it. Just like that, and then I'm going to flip the housing back upright because we'll be able to hand tighten this on there. You don't need any tools putting them back on. So we've got our primer assembly on top, got our new filter here, O-ring there. We want a little bit of diesel, a little bit of lubrication on that O-ring, and then this is ready to go back up into the primer assembly. A good thing to do with your filter is fill it with diesel before it goes in there. That saves you time priming because you don't have to fill up the filter as well. So I'm going to put a little bit of diesel in this before I put it back up, and then we'll reattach our other hose. So we've got our air box here. It has 4 little clips along the outside. You got 1, 2, 3, and the last one is upside down. And that basically lets you pull the lid off, like so. And you can get to your filter there. So what we're going to do is loosen off one of our clamps so we can fully remove this here, give us good access to the air filter, and we can swap them over. There's our old air filter. Alright guys, so I had a bit of a look online. I can't seem to find a definitive answer on which direction these filters go. So you see you've got a rubber lip on the bottom and like a squishy rubber disc on top. It sounds like these, due to the suction coming from the top, they can lift. So I'm going to say that the foam goes on top to try and stop lifting, and you've got this rubber seal that wants to sort of fill the void underneath. So I'm going to say this goes on bottom, this goes on top, and you've also got the Ryco serial number on top there, so I'm going to say that faces the top. So we're going to put it in like this. That's our air filter done. Now we move on to our oil filter. Okay guys, so we're doing the oil filter now. I've got a couple things removed just so that you guys can see this a little bit clearer. So you can see, I'm going to use this breaker bar as a stick. You can see this guy here is our turbo. That's our oil filter right there. It takes a 1/2 inch drive, so any sort of 1/2 inch ratchet or breaker bar will work. Do not use a rattle gun on it, it will break. We want to pull at 90 degrees to it, try not to bend it. The housings are quite fragile, so we want to make sure that all the force we put into it is going to rotate that filter, not break the housing. So I'm going to slide my breaker bar down in there. So I've got my breaker bar in, pull, that just cracked. Now she's loose, and this was done up quite tightly. And here is our filter. What I would do with a new filter is I would usually prime these. Just because of the way that this goes in sideways, it's not really something you can do too well. But if you want to try and wet the filter up a little bit, you can give it a go, but just remember a lot's going to come out when you tip it sideways. So we're going to pull out our old filter. In the bottom of it, check for this plastic piece here. You want to pull that out and keep that because we need it for our new filter. So we've got our new filter there. This bad boy here goes in the bottom. just like that. Put him back in. Done. So now we want to kind of prime this. You're not going to fill it up all the way, but I just put a little bit of oil in there, roll it around, put a little bit more oil in there, and when it stops absorbing the oil, throw it in the car. That way you get as minimal dribble as you can get. And we want to swap over this O-ring here. So we want to pop our old O-ring up and out. New O-ring. Goes on. Just like that. And now oil. Just like every other O-ring, when you service a car, make sure you lube it up. And then on your way down, keep the filter upright and then straight in just like that. So that's it. It's basically, as soon as it contacts, that's it. It's not very much at all. So now's the easy part. Put your sump bolt back in, crack your filler cap open, and pump. Alrighty guys, so we've finished our service. We're in the Patrol now. Everything's running great. So hopefully you guys can follow this step by step and be able to service your own car, save a bit of money, and maybe put a bit aside for some future mods. So hopefully this is helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.